breaking the last bond of slavery. There was a British hunter who went to Africa to do some hunting. You know how some people just like to kill things?
Yes.
And when he went into the bush, there was a massive elephant. And she was there with her baby calf. And this hunter wanted that baby calf. But the mother elephant knew that the hunter meant them harm. So the mother elephant flung her big ears out and shook them, which meant, I'm getting ready to get in your case. And to protect her baby, she began to charge the hunter. And the hunter took his rifle, took aim, and pulled the trigger, because the hunter knew that that mother elephant had two things that was a threat to him. Number one, she had knowledge of his intent, and number two, she had the power to wipe him out. Yeah. And he had to get rid of that. So he pulled the trigger, the projectile left the muzzle of his weapon hitting that mother elephant in the exact spot, and she fell dead. Well, the baby elephant, having never encountered such a thing before, tried to run for his life, but then where am I going to go? I've always been with my mother, so I'm going to run back to my mommy. But my mom is now dead, so let me run for my life. And the baby elephant went back and forth until a net had been thrown over the baby elephant. And in its anger and in its rage, it tried to break free from that net, but there were too many men there. And they took a cable, threw it around the baby elephant's neck, and enslaved it. Put it to sleep. And when the baby elephant woke up, he was attached to a post in the ground. The cable around his neck was now attached to a post. It had been free, running through the jungles, enjoying God's creation. Now it's attached to a post in the ground. 5 years later, that baby elephant was now a big elephant. If it dared but think about pulling the post out of the ground, all it had to do was one of them numbers. But it had been trained to be enslaved. So the hunter came and took the cable off the baby elephant's neck. You're no longer tied to the cable which is attached to the post in the ground. But guess what, y'all? That elephant stayed right there. It chose to remain a slave to the spot that it had been tied to for the last 5 years. The aim of this message today is to try to promote and instill within us as Africans not only the desire, but the power or the ability to experience African liberation. I found out, y'all, that there are a lot of us that really don't want to be free. That's right. Hello? Yes, sir. Many Africans still function within the philosophical paradigm that was forced upon us by those who oppressed us. And many people, many of our people have chosen not to move away from that post in the ground. How is it that we have chosen not to move away from it? Because here's what enables you to move away from that post. It's something called knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, the acquisition of knowledge, maybe I should say right knowledge, will automatically cause you to move away from that post in the ground. But I found out that many of us have chosen not to move away from the post in the ground because we have chosen not to add knowledge to ourselves. And guess what? As a result of choosing not to add knowledge in our quest for liberation, we create our own uselessness to the community in which we are part of. Brothers and sisters, it's time for the breaking, the shattering of the last bond of slavery. There are so many bonds that we have already broken. Yes, there was a time when Africans had no social status whatsoever. You couldn't walk down the street. We've broken the bond that held us back socially. There was a time when blacks had no economic status. We've broken that bond. We got black billionaires now, black millionaires now, black corporate executives now. So we've broken that bond in the economic realm. In education, there was a time when they wouldn't even allow us to read. Now we have black PhDs. Oh, we've broken the bond. Black MDs. We've broken the bond in that area. Politics, oh my God, we got black governors now, black mayors, black congressmen, black senators. I don't think they're going to let us have a black president. At least no time soon. We've broken these bonds in these areas. Even in entertainment. There was a time when if you wanted to see a black image in entertainment, it had to be a white man who would put black face on and act like a so-called black man as they perceived us to be. Blacks weren't allowed in entertainment. Now we dominate the entertainment industry. That's right. There was a time not too very long ago where you couldn't find a black quarterback. That's right. But now we have excelled and taken the lead in athletics. And I'll tell you, every area we get in, we take it. We take it. Brothers and sisters, we have broken the bond that held us back in every area except one area. We have not broken the last bond of slavery. It must be broken in order for liberation to take place. And I want you to know what it is so you be clear with me, brothers and sisters. The last bond of slavery that must be broken is the slave master's religion. That's the last bond of slavery. This message today is a call for unity. Yes. However, we as a people cannot have unity without a true and proper foundation. Yes. Right. This morning we talked about on the radio about changing history. Yes, sir. Changing his story. You can't change his story until you first know our story. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This means telling the truth. Everybody say, tell the truth. Now I know y'all said it, but do you mean it? Yeah. Telling the truth, brothers and sisters, often results in pain. A lot of people people don't want to deal with the pain of the truth. Regardless of how much it hurts, we got to tell the truth. There is no longer any more time for laughing with your oppressor. Look at the person next to you and say, we got to stop laughing with the enemy. There's no more time for Uncle Tom's sellout leadership in our community. No more time for that. I was listening to last week's message. I didn't realize I was so angry at the point. When I said it, I wish we were truly an African village. Because if we were really if we really had some real African warriors up in here, when we see sellout leadership, they wouldn't sell out long because their heads would be taken. You understand what I'm saying? There's no more time, brothers and sisters, for miseducation among our people. There's no more time for us to progress by stepping on our brothers and sisters just to get ahead. It's time for that stuff to stop. We're building on a lopsided foundation because we have not broken that last bond of slavery. You see, the slave master's religion says that you can do anything you want to do, treat people any way you want to treat them, be just as dishonest as you can, as evil as you can, as carnal as you can, and it's all right because all you got to do is confess. I don't know if y'all grabbing this thing here, but that's some deep psychopathology. When you can tell a person no matter what they've done, it's made right by believing in the shed blood of somebody who never existed. Now, I know I might have just rocked somebody's world if you're visiting with us. But see, that's their agenda. Their agenda is to fabricate what is called a vicar. Everybody say vicar. Vicar, or the vicarious work of Christ. That's the name of the doctrine. Or the substitutionary work of Christ. That's the doctrine. Or the propitiation of Christ. That's the doctrine. That teaching is that in spite of your messed up condition, this person who you cannot prove the existence of, are y'all with me? You don't have to grab what I'm saying, just listen to what I'm saying. This person who you have no idea of the validity of their existence, but yet they want you to believe in what this person did for you, and everything you did wrong is made right. Now just take 5 seconds and think about that. I'm going to walk on that one. Did you think about it? Yes. In other words, you are not made right by doing right. You're not made right by going to the person you mistreated and apologizing. Oh, doggone. Are y'all grabbing this thing? And you want to know why so much mess goes on in the church? Because we treat each other any kind of way we want to and never go back to that person and say, I'm sorry. But yet you come to the altar and say, God, forgive me. That is not the African way, people. The African way is, don't you dare come up here talking no mess like that. Go back to the person that you wronged and get it right with them. You see, people, when you got that kind of theology, you can steal a people from their homeland and put cuffs around their neck and chains around their body. And if they don't submit to your evilness, you can beat them, flog them, lynch them, rape them, gut cut the pregnant women, mistreat them, and then go confess. And everything is all right. That's the slave master's religion. In order to correct the problem, you must understand the roots of how it was falsified in the first place. We must deal with the lies that have destroyed us as a people in correcting our predicament. Everybody say this: black folk, Africans are the most religiously devoted people in the world. Now say this: black folk, Africans are the most oppressed of people in the world. Do y'all understand what I'm saying to you? In other words, we've taken on the slave master's religion, and it has created something in us called docility and passivity. That's why they want to know from you, are you a Christian? Because when you say, yes, I'm a Christian, that translates into their head as, well, he's a good Negro. We ain't got nothing to worry about. Because if you're really a good Christian, that means when I mistreat you, you're going to pray for me. That's what it means when they tell you that. It means if you're a Christian, I can slap you because I know you're going to turn the other cheek. It's a new day now. Did y'all hear what I said? Don't you try that other cheek stuff now, brother. Why are we Africans the most religiously devoted people in America, but yet we continue to be the most burdened people in America? It's for one of two things. Either the source of our divine revelation is wrong, or we've been lied to. Now, I don't believe that there's truly fault with God. I know better than that. God is too real in my life to doubt the validity and justice of Almighty God. You've done too much for me. My mom used to say it this way: you can't make me doubt him. I know too much about him. You understand what I'm saying? So if we are still misled, it must mean then that those who taught us misrepresented what is supposed to be the truth. The average African in America knows very little, if anything at all, about his or her African heritage. The American-born, notice how I said that, the American-born black man, black woman is a completely made-over being that only recognizes and comprehends or experiences what their slave master has determined for him or her. And guess what, y'all? This includes a religion that was and still is offered in the best interest of the slave master. Now, y'all may not believe what I'm saying to you, but do you not know, and I said this a few weeks ago also, I think I said it on the radio this morning, do you not know that the majority of what our people en masse believe is what we were believing when we were slaves? Yes. Think about what I'm talking telling you now. In other words, if what the slave master taught us while we were slaves, the doctrine hasn't changed one bit. Something ought to tell you that that which they taught you was not for your liberation, but it was and still is in the best interest of our oppressor. Brothers and sisters, we must not delude ourselves into thinking that the people who for hundreds of years have strategically, follow what I'm saying now, I'm talking about a people who have spent centuries strategically and violently orchestrating our physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual enslavement. Don't think, brothers and sisters, that these people are now going to turn around and give you a God consciousness that's going to set you free. See, we think that because they let us get a good job, buddy, that now they're setting us free. We think that because they now allow us to serve in high-ranking positions in the police department, or even in the fire department, or in politics, that now they're letting us experience liberation. No, look at the person next to you and say, that's comfort on the plantation. Yes, it is. In other words, if you are a good enough Negro, we'll let you have this comfort. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I was looking at, what's this thing the other night on television? Comes on with somebody, O'Connor, where the black detective, in the heat of the night. I was looking at the other night. And you know something, to be honest with you, it really clicked for me that I saw it, watched it many times, but it never clicked like it did the other night. O'Connor, who's the police chief, has got a girlfriend in this. But you almost can't tell she's black. Now mind you, we're talking Sparta, Mississippi, racist town, right? But yet the chief of police girlfriend is a black woman, but you have to look closely to see that she's a black woman. And I said to myself, looking at it, now wait a minute, if they wanted him to have a black woman as a girl, why didn't they get a highly melaninated sister to play that role? But there again, y'all, is that racism and eugenics at work, even in entertainment. They've taken the chains off of our feet. Which is better? Is it better to have chains on your feet but know who you are? Or is it better to have the chains taken off of your feet and now have them placed on your mind? See, as long as the chains were on our feet, as long as that cable was around the neck of that baby elephant, the master or that British hunter had to wonder, if I take the cable off, will it try to run? But after reaching a certain point, he knew that now I can take this cable off this elephant's neck because it's now in his mind. They've taken the chains off of our feet, brothers and sisters, but they left them on our minds. We're still enslaved. I'll say it again. Now, y'all, I don't mean we here at New Ephesus, even though some of you are. I'm talking about we as a people are still, see, here's how I feel. You may not feel this way, but whatever person personal level of liberation I have, it still means nothing to me as long as my brother and my sister are still bound in slavery. That's why I stand here every week. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I work until I get headaches, because if it means taking my last breath, I got to tell you what I got to tell you in order for you to be free. Got to do it. We're still enslaved, and I'll tell you this. The reason why we're still enslaved is because we still believe what they gave us to believe. The real tragedy, brothers and sisters, is that most of us, as I said, are not even trying to be free. We must ask the question, where did we get this religion from? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself, who taught us my belief system?
I don't think you heard it.
I'll say it again then. Ask yourself, where did we get this religion from? You know, I'm going to be honest with you. If you just ask those questions alone, if you have any thinking capacity at all, it ought to take effect in your life. Where did we get this religion from, and who taught it to us? That alone is enough to make you lay it down. The most important element, and hear me well, in fact, repeat this after me. The most important element of upholding European supremacy is stopping black awareness. Did y'all get that? Or are you just repeating words? The most important element in upholding European supremacy is stopping black awareness. So whenever a teacher comes along who would bring awareness and consciousness to African people, what must they do? They must stop the teacher. They have various methods of doing that. They try to resist through internal resistance. Then they try to discredit through external forces, trying to stop the liberator or the teacher. The best technique for accomplishing stopping black awareness, now follow what I'm saying to y'all, is a system of religious and secular miseducation that has been devised so well that it does not even breed the possibility of black awareness. I will never forget, because I had never encountered it in all the years I've been in ministry till I came to this city, that black preachers would say to me, don't preach that black stuff. I'm still in awe about it. In fact, I'm getting ready to produce some videotapes on it so the community can see what our black preachers say about that black stuff. What's wrong with us when our religious leaders become the main instruments in the perpetuation of our enslavement? We have taken man-made doctrines. Am I talking too hard? Okay, I was really asking our visitors, because I know y'all here, you're used to it, but I don't want to chase our visitors away. I hope they're grabbing what I'm saying, you know, and I'm serious about that, because see, sometimes people get people to come and visit my church, and then I talk on the level that many have grown to, and it's like a little too strong for them. So I hope I'm not, you know, being too overbearing here, but we have taken man-made doctrines. What did I just say? Man-made doctrines. And I want you to know, I'm not talking about black man-made doctrines. I'm talking about doctrines that were man-made by white folk. We have taken man-made doctrines to be our rule and guide over and above facts and reality. We have literally, I don't know how we've done it. If we were thinking, it wouldn't have happened. But we as a people have literally made ourselves accept that which doesn't even make sense as fact instead of truth. Everybody say, truth is that which is consistent with reality. One more time. Truth is that which is consistent with reality. Now let me explain to you what I mean. I talked a few weeks ago about Adam, where art thou? How in the world is a man who was made, according to the biblical record, less than 3,000 years ago, going to be the first man on the planet when you got structures in Egypt that are over 18,000 years old? How's that going to be? Somebody had to build. But see, here's the reality, brothers and sisters, that you have to understand. The white people who made up these stories can't tell you about their existence past 3,000 years ago. In fact, I'll be nice, they can't tell you about their existence past a good 2,000 years ago. So therefore, in order for them to be culturally superior, they must of necessity make sure that everything on the planet came into existence since they came into existence. Did I make sense to y'all when I said that? Whew. So they got us walking around saying that the world began in 4004 BC. That's right. And to be sure that you remain enslaved to that last bond of slavery, anything about African consciousness, they tell you it's satanic. You see, you know, it's deep. Here we have up here what's called the Eye of Horus. Had my own people walk up to me. Africans, black folk, who just don't know no better because they're still bound to the last bond of slavery, walk up to me and say, what you doing with that evil eye on your lapel? Isn't that deep? Our people walk up and see the ankh right down here, or our sisters wearing the ankh. Our people who don't know no better walk up to them and say, don't you know that's witchcraft that you're wearing? But yet white folk walk up to us and say, that's a beautiful ankh you have on. Me and Mentor go through it all the time. We'll be at a restaurant, he'll have his ankh on, and somebody will walk up and say to him, that's a beautiful ankh you have on. And we look up and we look at each other and say, this don't make that. You know what this means? Sure, we know what it means. It's the African symbol of eternal life. Yes. And then me and Mentor, after they walk away, we look at each other and say, that's a doggone shame. We're still bound. And it's deep, brothers, because they are the ones who created the lie for our enslavement, and we are the ones who are committed to the lie. Y'all understand what I'm saying here? There are three things that are necessary for resurrection and empowerment. Everybody say knowledge. Knowledge. That's the first thing that's necessary. When I say knowledge, brothers and sisters, so you'll understand, I'm talking about awareness of the facts. awareness of the truth, awareness of reality. Everybody say this: we must undo fables, we must undo lies, and we must undo fantasy. Now let me tell you what I'm talking about. We as a people, we are more into and committed to fables, lies, and fantasy instead of facts, truth, and reality.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I can tell you a fact or the truth, and we say, well, that ain't what, no. And then we'll stand more on something we can't even verify.
Yes.
Second thing necessary for resurrection and empowerment, everybody say understanding. Understanding is comprehending the knowledge manifested into actions. Steve Coakley, powerful brother. Powerful brother.
Yes, sir.
He had let somebody borrow a book. And then when he saw the person, he asked him, he was about to ask him, have you read the book? And then he said, no, I ain't got to ask you. I know you haven't read it. Because if you had read it, you would have right knowledge. And right knowledge is manifested in your actions. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So I can tell whether some of you are being liberated or not. Because if your actions are the same as they were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you haven't been listening. One of y'all taught on are you listening? Which one of you minister on it? Are you listening? I can tell some of you are not listening, and I can tell others of you are. Because right knowledge is manifested in your actions. Doggone it, when you look in the mirror and see your slip hanging, you do something about it, don't you, sisters? Yeah, you pull that slip up, don't you? When you look, brothers, and you're rushing out the house and you realize that your zipper's down. I don't know, somebody may know what I'm talking about. We've all done that, haven't we? And you realize, see, you didn't know it was down. Somebody said, brother, your fly is open. That kind of, not your fly ain't open, I'm just saying, brother, your fly is open. What do? You ignore it? What do we do, brothers? We're doing about face. And turn back around. Same thing when you got wrong knowledge. You do something about it. The third thing that's necessary for resurrection and empowerment is something called wisdom. Wisdom is the optimum combination of knowledge and understanding, expressed in the ability to make things happen. I just told y'all about some black men who've had to deal with racism all through their career in the fire department. But they had wisdom. They combined their knowledge along with their understanding and created the possibility to make things happen. Now, those who had to once deal with racism in the department are now chiefs in the department themselves. When are we going to learn? Brothers and sisters, everybody say the truth has been blacked out through whitewash. As recent as 35,000 BC, 35,000 years BC. How many years did I just say? 35,000. I didn't say 3,500. I said as recent as 35,000 years BC, art, music, ritual, burial, accounting system, science, philosophy had been mastered by Africans. Thousands of years before the so-called birth of their Jesus, of the white man's Jesus. Africans were in the zenith of gynecology. Thousands of years BC. Africans were in the zenith of medicine and astrology and astronomy and biology and psychology and calculus and all the other sciences. Africans had mastered these things before European knew what a shoe was. So what did the European have to do to make us imprisoned? The slave master's religion had to be created. Y'all think I'm playing? There's a book called The Golden Stool. Those of you who are just grabbing what I'm saying today for the first time and it's kind of shocking you a little bit, make note of what I'm saying. Don't take my word for what I'm saying. Write it down. The Golden Stool. Write that book down. It's, the author is Edwin W. Smith. On page 173 of that book, Edwin W. Smith, and by the way, this book is a methodical projection about how to colonize the African continent. On page 173, Edwin Smith says these words, and I quote him: "In order to win an African to Christ, it is first necessary to Europeanize them." End of quote. Go look it up on the internet, The Golden Stool. Isn't that deep?
Yes, yes.
In order to win the Africans to Christ, it is first necessary to Europeanize them. Look at the person next to you and say, I don't want to be Europeanized. Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Hold up. Now, I know y'all said that because I asked you to. We just created a problem.
Yes.
We just created a problem. Let's try that again. Look at the person next to you and say, I don't want to be, no, wait, only if you mean it. Only if you mean it. Look at the person next to you and say, I don't want to be Europeanized. Now, y'all said it with power that time.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Let's see what's going to happen now. Look back at them and say, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, this is getting good. See, here's the predicament. Look back at them and say, because you already are. You see, brothers and sisters, you cannot grow up in this society and not be affected by Europeanization. And nothing is as destructive to the African mind as the Europeanization of the African mind. Once your African mind becomes Europeanized, you are programmed to self-destruct. So what you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? In order for us to know the truth about our Europeanization, we must trace the roots of it. Woo, buddy.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for us to understand that this figure that we call Jesus was a created figure to establish your commitment to a belief system that is invalid? What happens when you put all your faith in something that you cannot verify? Now, I hear it. I'm getting good. I can start hearing stuff that ain't even being said. I feel your thoughts. Well, Pastor, how can you say that? Because Jesus has done too much for me. And you know something? I understand what you're saying. But my question to you is, why are you calling it Jesus? Why not say God has done too much for me? You understand what I'm saying? Here we go. How would you feel if you were a parent and you had done all this for your child, and your child gave the glory to somebody else for what you did. Now y'all, you can actually tap into what I'm saying, because all you got to do is think about December 25th.
Right.
This thing we call Christmas and Santa Claus. Some parents got enough sense to be sure that their child knows that I bought this for you. You understand what I'm saying? Some parents got enough sense to be sure that their child understands it was not no fat white man in a red and white suit that came down a chimney that we don't even have and put these toys under this tree. Some parents got that much sense. Then you got others who take their baby to the mall and put them up in the lap of this fat white man in a red suit, and the baby's crying. I don't want to sit here. And you telling the baby, smile, so they can take your picture. That's deep when the baby got more sense than you got. The African genius in that little black baby is saying, I don't want to be here. I'm trying to be considerate, because I know that some of the things I'm saying here today is really, you know, bombarding some of your beliefs. I know it is. I've been there, people. You follow what I'm saying? But just think about our predicament as a people. What has the slave master's religion done for us as a people? But kept us in the predicament as a people, to whereas they are that far now from making a decision to eliminate us off the face of this planet as a people. If your faith hasn't done any more for you than it has, then you don't need it. Now what are you saying, Pastor? I'm doing pretty good. I know you are, but we ain't. Did I lose you? You see, the African thing is, it's not about how good you are doing. It's about how good we are doing. And if we as a people are still in trouble, see, y'all, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Let's bring some reality into this thing. Why is it that most of the young black men who are locked up downtown right now in jail grew up in Sunday school? Why is it that those of us of our people who love the Lord, I'm talking about in the context that they assigned it to you. That's right. You're unhappy. Oh, tell it like it is. Yeah, see, we as a people, because we're bound to the slave master's religion, we just keep believing that one day. And we sing it, if you want to know where I'm going, and we get happy talking about where I'm going, instead of, you ain't got no choice, because you sure can't talk about how happy you are where you are. You can't talk about that, because Reverend, I have to be honest with you, things ain't like I really want them to be. My children are all confused. They telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. My home is falling apart. Oh, Lord, have mercy. I ain't making the kind of money I'd like to make.
All right now.
Lord, have mercy.
I'm forever look like gonna be an employee instead of an employer. Am I making sense, folks?
Yes.
And the only comfort I get is talking about where I'm going one day. Why is it that the people who gave us this program don't ever talk about where they're going? Think with me, people. I've never heard Jews talk about going to heaven. But yet they got all the financial empires all over the world. They are the bankers. You follow what I'm saying? The Rothschilds, the Bilderbergers, the Morgans, the Rockefellers. They don't talk about going to heaven. They don't get up and sing, I'm going up yonder. They program us to sing it. Because as long as you can put that mentality in these people, that one day it'll be all right for them in the by and by. So we remain slaves to that last. And then here's the real catcher, and I got to close now. Here's the real catcher of it all. The real thing is keep them divided. Come on, son. Now I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I have people that have said to me, I get so much out of your teaching. People have ordered our tapes, but when they get to Jesus, all of a sudden, here we were like this. Now we're at this Jesus issue. I can't listen to him no more. But yet you haven't invalidated what I said.
That's right.
You haven't proved me wrong.
That's right.
Only thing you've done is went through what I call, as a psychologist, cognitive dissonance. Yeah. In other words, your brain had an accident. Yeah. That's what happened. Your brain had an accident with truth. What I said had a head-on collision with what you've been made to believe.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So instead of saying, well, at least let me go check out what this brother's saying and see if what he's saying is true. Because see, if you go do that,
that's right.
They don't want that to happen. So you and I both, I was there, people, we have been programmed to automatically destroy that person who would bring us something other than what we've been taught. And as a result, we have Muslims who can't get along with Christians, and Jews who don't want to be a part of neither one of that group. I won't even go that far. Let's stay right in the Christian circle. We got Methodists who don't want to fellowship with Baptists, and Baptists who don't want to fellowship with Pentecostals. You understand what I'm saying? All because of a doctrine that the slave master gave us. And the thing about it is, they don't even believe it. Ooh, buddy. The slave master's religion has purposely taught us to believe differently. We have refused to see that it is a total shame, brothers and sisters, when we allow ourselves as Africans to stoop so low to use something as sacred as personal spirituality to keep us divided.
Yes, that's right.
For almost 500 years. How many years did I say, y'all? 500. For almost 500 years, the slave master's religion has misused Africans as the stepping stone for white success. And it's time for it to stop now. Ashe.